Welcome to the ISO Show, dispelling myths and sharing tips for success to improve your business with ISO standards.
If you're listening to this podcast, then you're in great company. We've got thousands of listeners who have a thirst for continual improvement and raising standards in business. Whether your interest is in quality, sustainability, or risk standards, I'd love to welcome you as a member to our online platform for all things ISO, the ISology Hub. The ISology Hub is the leading place to get access to all of your online resources, from in-depth training courses through to our very popular coffee break training, to templates and action plans and many other resources to help raise standards. As a member, you get access to over 100 courses, taking you from learner to practitioner to leader. The ISology Hub has all the resources that you need, which will really help to make your life easier and to help improve compliance in those business critical areas. So if you'd like access to learning and compliance resources ranging from data privacy to environmental management, anti-bribery, business continuity, quality, health and safety, to name just but a few, the list is endless actually, then we'd love you to come and join us. Just head over to the isologyhub.com.
Hello everybody, welcome to another ISO show. I'm Ian Battersby, one of the senior ISO consultants at Blackmores UK Limited. Today I have a guest. I'm going to be chatting to somebody one of my colleagues has worked with in their certification journey for ISO 14001. And what we want to look at really is the benefits, commercial benefits are to him and his organisation in achieving ISO 14001 and what that can mean for other organisations like his. It's a small to medium-sized enterprise, an SME in manufacturing. So without any more chit-chat, I'd like to welcome James Watson. He's the Managing Director at Surface Print. So welcome, James. Nice to see you today.
Hi, Ian. Nice to meet you too.
Has it been a good journey in terms of certification then? I believe it was all very successful.
Yes, it has been. You know, the full journey, takes a bit of time. Don't get me wrong.
We'll test you on how long it took then, yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into that detail, though, we want to know about you as a person, right? And we ask all our guests this. Please, could you tell us something that from a professional perspective, not many other people might know?
It's an interesting question.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm James Watson. I'm Managing Director of Surface Print. It's a family business. It's a wallpaper factory, and it's a family business, and we're up in Accrington, Lancashire. And my sister and I are the two directors at the moment. We own the business with my father. My father's 88, and he's still involved in the business.
Right, okay.
Comes in once or twice a month, and we have a board meeting. And Abby, my sister, and I are fourth generation of Watson to be in wallpaper. So it dated.
All right.
It dated with my great grandfather Walter Watson, who started in the wallpaper industry around the 1880s.
Right.
It's very much a family trade. It's very much in our blood. You know, we're highly passionate about wallpaper, and I'd like to think there's not much we don't know about wallpaper as well. So that's probably the interesting fact.
So wallpaper in the blood, eh? So tell us about the company a bit more then. You've given us a bit of the history going back to 1888, did you say? And you're in the fourth generation. What types do you manufacture? Who are your clientele? Who do you supply to?
Sure. So we have a wonderful factory. So we have both analog printing and we also have digital printing. So over the years, you know, the factory has really developed. We have 10 big analog printing presses, and we also have 6 state-of-the-art HP digital presses. So we have all the mechanical processes for wallpaper. So, customer-wise, So we have two strings to the company. We have Surface Print, which is sort of third-party printing, white label printing, whatever you want to call it, where interior brands come to us with their designs, and then we make that wallpaper for them. And then on the other side, we have our own brand of wallpapers, which is called 1838 wall coverings, and that's where we design it, we colour it, and then we sell it worldwide.
Right.
To base it on who will have it, basically. So
Okay.
yes. But the key to our success is very much in the high end of the industry. We're not a volume producer. It's all about high quality manufacturing, high quality raw materials, high quality machines, attention to detail, nothing volume, not, people are happy to pay a bit more, but it's obviously all manufactured in the UK at our factory.
Mm-hmm.
Just giving a great quality product and a great quality service.
Right. Okay. You said anybody can buy it then, but you're not in sort of the major stores where you might go and buy wallpaper then. It's a slightly more high-end niche than that.
Yeah, not your major volume stores like your B&Qs and your Ranges. A lot of our products is in places like John Lewis, like Harrods. Like you're talking high-end interior stores. Yeah.
Right. I get you. And I can see you, our listeners can't, and I can see the background, and you have a quite striking wallpaper behind you, and I'm guessing that's one of your own?
It is one of our own, yeah. It's one of our 1838 wall coverings.
Yeah.
We've had a recent collaboration over the last 3 years with the Victoria and Albert Museum in London.
Oh, right.
So we've used their archive for inspiration, and so it's wonderful because they have a real treasure trove of design. So we basically we get to choose the designs we want to use, and then tweak them and fit them into wallpaper sort of specifications. So this design probably, over the three collections we've got with them, wallpapers are dating back to like the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. It's a real treasure trove of design. Yeah, it was really thick. Yeah.
Go through history there as well.
Yeah.
I imagine that in your industry, you've talked in some detail there about, and it sounds quite technical to an extent. I imagine you adhere to various standards in your industry. Is there anything that you must do? I've got things that are nice to have.
More from a legislation point of view.
Right.
Yeah, there's the Construction Products Regulation, EN 15102.
Uh-huh.
That's for construction products going into a building. There's things like fire certificates. We're FSC certified as a business, because we're dealing with paper and wood pulp. There's all the sort of the legislation knocking around, but obviously the main one is the ISO 14001. That's the only ISO accreditation we do.
Right. Okay. Did you find that having to adopt other things like the safety and construction style of things gave you the right sort of mindset to approach 14001 when it came along?
No, to be honest.
Right.
It was very, from a practical point of view, we can do things, pretty well. More from a legislation, paperwork point of view, that's where we had difficulty, and that's where Alison Henshaw at Blackmores was a massive help.
Right.
So as a team, we have an ISO committee at the company. From a practical doing things, we can do that, but the legislation, Alison, tidied that up for us, and it was a massive help, really.
So why did you go for 14001? Was there a specific driver to it?
Yeah, it's because in wallpaper manufacturing, it is traditionally very heavy on waste. Certainly on the analog machines, you're talking anywhere between 10 and 20% waste per production order. If you're not careful, you can really create a lot of waste and become very inefficient. And the modern world now, it's all about carbon emissions.
Mm-hmm.
Gas and electric prices are going up. So I wanted something to follow that would really sort of focus our attention at the environment, but also help us from a cost saving point of view.
Right.
So that's why we focus at the ISO 14001.
Are any of your customers trying to mandate that you adopt something like 14001?
No, they didn't actually. But we've obviously,
Oh, interesting.
since getting it, have pushed it towards them to say, look, we are, 4001, accredited. So, it's been a great sort of marketing push from our point of view.
Good. And how long did it take from first deciding that you would go for 14,001? How long did it take to the actual certification then?
I want to say about a year.
Right.
Mainly because we had a few little issues with the accreditation company, and we had the initial online audit, and then the second audit, just a few miscalculations of organisation, and it got delayed and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, probably about a year, really.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it needs a bit of planning then. Sounds like you had more of an admin hiccup than anything else towards the end there.
Yeah,
Not a technical hiccup, but more an admin thing. Yeah.
yeah. It was more of an admin thing with us with the certificate. Yeah.
Have you considered any other management system standards like 9001 for quality and 45,001 for health and safety?
Not yet. We're like a year into our first year of ISO 14001, so there's still lots to do on that front. There's a lot more. There's a lot more things we can look at, and we've got a small sort of ISO committee, and it's doing its job at the moment. Like I said previously, that we don't get asked for these things; it's off our own back.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment, there's plenty in it with ISO 14001 to keep us busy.
Have you found any issues resourcing it then so far? Getting the right people involved, the right awareness, the right documentation together, the hosting of system documentation, anything like that that's been an issue?
Well, yeah, it's like I said previously, like we internally as a company, we struggle a bit from the administration part, but that's where Alison from Blackmores helps massively, keeping that side in check for us and just sort of making sure we're keeping the paperwork up to date and
Right.
things like that. So that's where it works well.
So by using Alison, then you're finding that you're getting understanding and resourcing managed reasonably well. Then.
Yeah, because I'm a managing director. Like on my committee, they're not health and safety people. They're not environmental people. Yeah, they're like print managers. They're buyers. Yeah, we're all new to this, what you call it, ISO certification. So we all come from different areas, and then we're all brand new to it. So it was a bit alien for all of us, really. So we've all just sort of got together and got through it as best we can, really.
Yeah, there's a certain mindset in understanding the way the standards are written, and even us, there's supposedly people who know about them find nuances almost daily. And in doing these shows, actually, I pick up more and more about what they mean to real people. So it's always quite useful to talk to people in their implementation as well.
Yeah.
But you talked about your driver being the world around you now, and the fact that your industry necessarily seems to have produced quite a lot of waste. How then have you integrated what you do, the sort of 14,001 elements, into your day-to-day activities in order to improve that? Are you seeing that 14,001 helps you in doing things?
Well, very much so, and that was the whole point in starting with the standard. It forms part of every decision you make, basically, and how you run your business. Obviously, I'm the managing director. It starts from the top and goes and downwards. So we're making decisions based on what we feel is right from an ISO 14001 point of view.
Right. So that does influence you then.
Yeah.
And you talk about using it as a bit of a sort of marketing edge now. Are you seeing that by telling your prospective clients that you're getting ahead? And does that have a lesson for other people, perhaps, in the way certification might help them stand out in what could be a crowded marketplace for them?
Obviously, we only promote our company. So, we like to think we're market leaders in wallpaper manufacturing, but also environment, the world around us environmentally, thinking about the environment. Manufacturing generally in the UK, isn't the easiest thing. And also, in the UK, it's pretty expensive to manufacture things now, and generally products, if manufactured in the UK, are expensive. So
Yeah.
the more efficient, the more cost effective, the more environmentally focused you can do, the better, really. And I think, the fact that it is manufactured in the UK generally means you're not the cheapest, but things like being conscious about the environment and what you're doing to help the environment and things like that can help with the higher prices, basically.
Right. Okay. And you talked about the cost of manufacturing in the UK. There is a cost for you implementing 14,001, but there ought to be longer term benefits to you, and some of those can be operational cost savings. Have you seen anything yet where you can say directly, yes, we now have a cost benefit from implementing 14,001, the low hanging fruit, as some people like to call it?
Yeah. I mean, in manufacturing, we use a lot of electricity, and we also use a lot of gas for electricity to drive machines, gas to dry. Obviously, you're printing a wet ink, so you need
Right.
gas
Yeah.
burners to dry your wallpaper. We record how much electricity and gas we've used on a monthly basis, and we measure that against how many rolls we produced, which produces a figure. So the idea is to get, you're using less gas, using less electricity to the amount of rolls you produced. So we can quite clearly see that it's always, it's going down. One of the biggest things was we did have some solar panels installed just over a year ago. So we saved huge amounts of electricity over last year.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Gas-wise, our efficiencies are coming down. We're using less gas, and there's plans this year to again use further less gas. Investments in new bits of kit and things like that.
And is there anything secondary? Are you finding you've got a better inventory control potentially, or improved documentation, or does it enhance the safety of people in the way they work? Better documentation to drive how you do things?
Documentation by far is a lot more performed and completed correctly, because you've got all your waste transfer notes.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your EMS management system, so we have to keep that up to date. So your administration side is a lot more thorough now, which is obviously what we've all had to learn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But generally, I believe it's made us a more professional business because of what we have to abide by, and what we have to keep track of, and what we have to continue to monitor, and what we have to record. So
yeah, and you talked about legislation right from the start, actually, didn't you? Are you feeling more confident as an organisation in the level of compliance you have with regulations and laws?
yes, I mean, we're more comfortable, regarding the environment now. We have more information at our fingertips. We can answer things a lot quicker. The culture around the company, is more affiliated with the environment and efficiencies and what are we doing for the environment. So definitely, it's been a great project to get stuck into, and is obviously ongoing until we don't want to do it anymore, but we won't want to do that because it's been such a great thing.
Excellent. And going back to the marketing, is there anything you could tell other people about the way you've approached how you sell the idea of 14,001? To communicate your achievement to people.
Certainly with our third party customers, but also with our brands, we're quite often getting asked, what are the benefits of working with you? And we have a sustainability statement that we have,
right,
listing benefits. And obviously one of the first points is that we are ISO 14001. So straight away they're seeing that we have an active EMS system up and running and in place, and it's helping us make decisions. So and it's the same with the brand, how environmentally conscious we are, high quality but environmentally conscious we are, and that's the message we push out all the time.
Are you feeling that that's a genuine sort of feeling among industry, among customers as well, that seeing your efforts, they're viewing it in the right manner? Do you think that there's a genuine ethical approach to this among certainly part of the industry?
Yeah, I think if you're not doing it, it's kind of frowned upon now. So you have to be, certainly in the UK now, you have to be focusing at the environment and if you don't, it's definitely frowned upon, and
Yeah.
a mark is against me. So yeah, you won't feel right if you just weren't doing these things. So
Good. Yeah, there's a good feeling about doing it, which, helps everybody. I know you're at the end point. Achieving certifications just the start, really, in many ways. That it's the improvements that you look for over time
yeah.
that really are the full journey. What tip would you give to people who are planning on implementing not just 14,001, but any management system standard, any ISO standard?
Well, I mean, one of the first things I'd say is that the easiest benefits are in the early stages. Like you said, like the low hanging fruits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when you start a system, like you obviously haven't, you take time to put things in place. When it gets more difficult, is like the years 3, 4, 5, where you've become fairly efficient. You're doing a lot for the environment. Your ISO system is fully up and running. Then you start looking at sort of 5-10% improvements every year. So you can see big results very early on. So that's the main starting in ISO 2001. It does get more difficult, but then that's just a good sign that you're already doing everything you can. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's obviously, it does cost you money as well. Like we've performed all sorts of audits.
Yes. Mm-hmm. There is a resource implication. Yeah.
It does cost you money as well. Luckily, when we decided to do it, we were doing well as a business. And, we still are, obviously, but we had the money just to sort of invest. There's bits of kit you need to invest in. There's audits you need to invest in. There's remedial work that can come out of audits. So yeah, it does cost a bit, but ultimately, in the long run, the cost saving benefits at the end of the year will supersede your investment.
Right. That's good to hear. I mean, you do have to basically, I suppose, prime the system from the beginning, but you are seeing benefits. So I suppose the tip is stick with it
Yeah.
because you will see the benefits of it. And that's a great way to get sort of off your journey in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, the initial investments are always in the early stages, and once they've been made, obviously there's still further investment, but the biggest ones have been covered. So it's exactly as you say, do it for the long run, and do it for years to come, and continue developing and improving that 5-10% every year. Each year, that's where you really start to see the fruits.
And that, in the long run, that is a lot, isn't it? That's the thing. And you're talking from the perspective that now you've got structure, your improvements are quantifiable. You can demonstrate how well you're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Good. Well, that's a good place to sort of stop talking about ISO standards in a way. The fact that the effort at the beginning leads to quantifiable improvements at the end. Going back to you, James, a question for you. And again, this is how we end all of our shows with our guests. If you could gift a book to somebody, what book would you gift them and why?
That's a great question. Probably doesn't read much. If I could gift a book to someone, I'd probably say the Guinness Book of Records.
Hey, I grew up reading those back to back, yeah.
Just thought it's an interesting read, isn't it? And it's always very entertaining.
Yeah, you like some facts and figures then, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always used to read them. Got them most years as a kid and a teenager. And okay, another one. What is your favourite quote? And could you leave our listeners with that? You can be as glib as you want.
Probably, yeah. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Oh, well, yes, indeed. Yeah, I can apply that to many a situation myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a great one to end on. Some people like profound, some people like glib, and there's a bit of a middle ground, but I like that one. It's very good. So, James, thank you. You've been a great guest. Interesting to hear your journey. Maybe in future we can come back and find out how you're doing.
Yeah. No problems.
So thanks for your time. And thank all the listeners for their time. It's been great having James on today from Surface Print. So that's it. Before I go, I'd just like to remind all our listeners to subscribe on your preferred media player if you've not already done so. And please, if you have just a few minutes to spare, could you leave us a nice review on your media player? The review process does help us to reach a wider audience, and it's always good to get out there. As always, if you've got any questions or suggestions for future topics, just please feel free to send them in, get in touch with us by email, or put a comment where you've listened on your media player. We'd love to hear from you, any suggestions at all. So thank you all. That's all from me today, Ian. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch up with you on the next ISO show. Goodbye.
Looking to use ISO standards to drive better business practice? Contact us at blackmoresuk.com to access further information and book your free 15-minute call.